What's going on, guys? It's Isaac Parks, Isaac Punts, back out here today. We're going to talk about a punt I've been kind of just working on. I'm not reinventing the wheel or anything. It is just the Coffin corner. I feel like the Coffin corner has kind of gone out of style. So today I'm going to be giving you guys a quick, but hopefully a little bit in-depth tutorial about how I've been hitting my Coffin corner. What are my cues? What are the things that I'm trying to do well? I think, for why I want to bring this back, I'm not going to lie. I feel like recently, playing around the Coffin corner, it has given me significantly more control over how the ball is going to bounce than hitting an Aussie style punt. I will say it's probably a harder ball on average to hit, but I think if you follow this guide and really master what I'm going to be talking about, it's not going to be too bad. So the first part about the Coffin corner punt that we're going to talk about is what type of ball we're hitting and how we're hitting it, okay? The number one thing I'm looking to control when I'm hitting my Coffin corner, okay, is how high my spiral is going. So the biggest thing I like to think about is I'm trying to keep this spiral actually pretty low, and I'm looking to place this ball inside D5 every time, as close to the sideline as possible every single time. So to do so, we're going our traditional spiral punt, okay? I'm not gonna lower the drop at all, but now I'm tilting the nose down a little bit. The reason why I'm tilting the nose down just a hair is because instead of my normal swing where I plant to keep that nose flat and then swing up onto the ball, trying to just maximize distance and hang time, I'm actually trying to limit both of them. So with a slightly more nose down, instead of swinging straight up, I'm gonna be looking to kick downfield, okay, and just try to push that nose of the ball over. My eyes are kind of at their usual spot. I tend to aim a little bit further forward. So usually I'm looking kind of at the tip of the NFL logo. For those of you who don't know, that's gonna be a little bit behind the Nike logo. Now I might move my eyes up a little bit because there's one thing I'm trying to avoid, and it's that sort of miss hit that hooks to your left. And the reason I'm avoiding that one specifically is because, yes, this is gonna be the hard part, I'm hitting every single punt to the left. Now, left is usually a righty's punter's worst nightmare, but today we're going to actually tackle some of the things that make punting left optimal. First and foremost, like I said, since we're pushing the nose over, what that's gonna do to the ball is we're gonna punt it, and it's gonna turn over, and since we're keeping it low, if we hit a tight spiral, that ball's almost always gonna come in at this very low trajectory like this, and when it hits the ground, it's gonna hit and check almost directly to its left or slightly forward every single time. Your worst checks are gonna hit, stick, and then maybe bounce back a yard or two, but nothing crazy. And that's just gonna give us a very, very consistent bounce. The other part is, since we're hitting the trajectory super low, our miss hit is gonna look like this little wobbler that doesn't quite ever turn over, and that's gonna hit and bounce directly straight every time. The things that are gonna screw us up, ironically, are if we try to go for too much hang time, that's gonna give the ball a lot of air time to eventually get that nose all the way down. Now, when our nose is starting to come down like this, there's a shot for it to bounce forward, bounce right, and do all sorts of things you don't really want it to do. And our miss hit, if we try to catch up too much onto the ball, now we can float a high one, and it can start to hook and drift out of bounds way before we want it to. So like I said, nose a little bit down, we're kicking downfield, we're trying to limit the hang time and just throw a dart at one of the corners that we're going towards, okay? The next thing that I'm looking at is my spot. The number one thing, I think this is the hardest part and why I always choose left, is because our ball is gonna be fading back to the right, picking a spot going right can be pretty hard because you're kind of choosing sort of like no man's land. You're looking down there, you're probably aiming between, you know, the numbers and the sideline somewhere. When punting left, you have a very great visual cue on the sideline. There's all those little tick marks. You can change, adjust, adapt exactly how you need to and have a very easily well-defined, repeatable spot where you can practice kicking there every time. For me, when I'm punting at about the 45 going in, my number one aiming point is the 10-yard line. I found that my ball on a good turnover, on average, is moving somewhere from 3 to 7 yards in, bouncing it around the 3-yard line. Once again, we're trying to limit distance. You're gonna see I'm not really putting all my oomph into these punts, which is what I like about it. It's really repeatable. Unlike, I think, some Aussie punts, you have to really show off some of that leg power if you wanna get the ball downfield. The spiral just kind of cuts through the breeze. It's really good into a wind too, which I'll get to in a second. But I'm aiming at the 10-yard line to let that thing play back a little bit towards the middle of the field. I like this too because if you catch a little bit too much on it and it starts to really hook, that makes the distance further. So aiming at the 10-yard line, if you hit it too clean, it goes right out of bounds at the 10. You're probably not in love with it, but you probably don't hate it. Then if you put more on it, now you have 10 yards of space to work with for guys to get down there, for that ball to take a favorable bounce. It's not impossible to get a bad bounce, but the tighter the spiral you hit, the more repeatable it's gonna be. And you can tell that a tight spiral on this type of thing is actually, in my opinion, deterministic. Unlike a drop punt that's end over end, where you can hit it clean and still get unlucky, and that ball hit here and then just check straight through the back of the end zone, which we see a lot of times, even if the guy's doing it the best. Here, a tight spiral will stay the same same, land the same, and bounce out the same every single time. So I think this is a really good punt. Next, I really like it kicking into the wind. This might sound a little bit crazy, but a spiral punt cuts through the wind a little bit clearer. It also is gonna die. And like I said, if you hit it clean, it's got a high chance of just kind of landing flat and taking a really slow bounce. So you don't have to rely on how it's spinning through the air in order to get the bounce that you want. So all in all, yeah, aiming at the 10-yard line from any of the hashes, right? It all curves at about the same spot, or you can play around depending on how much curve you get. This is how much curve I get off my foot, but we're aiming at the 10-yard line. We are going a little bit nose down, focusing on kicking more downfield than we are kicking straight up, and just letting the natural curvature of that ball take itself out of bounds and get there. I found this really repeatable. Let me know what you guys think, if you found this as repeatable as I have. I hope this tutorial helps you become a better coffin corner hitter. Let me know if you tried it, how it worked out for you, and I look forward to I'm gonna make more of these like kind of short, sweet, to the point videos. So yeah, peace.